Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Amplify Your Business. Today, I am talking to a gentleman who has started a business that is focused on predictive health data, I guess you could say, that's going to basically save the healthcare system billions and billions of dollars, but also at the same time save a ton of lives, particularly at the start here with people who have heart disease. And this is something that's near and dear to me because my family has a history of this. And so I definitely am excited to learn a little bit more about the business and about the journey that Moh Noori, the founder and CEO of ScriptChain Health, has been on thus far. Welcome to the show, Mo. I really appreciate taking the time today to talk to us about your business and your journey.
Thank you for having me, Lance.
Okay, so Mo, I ask everybody the same question right off the hop here, and that is, what are three things that you think every entrepreneur needs to know based off of the experience that you've garnered being an entrepreneur for a few years here and a few different businesses?
I would say my top three would be, and not in this particular order, but number one would be having to be scrappy. Number two would be definitely have grit. And number three, I would say you would have to be a visionary because you have to sell people your dream.
So, being scrappy and having the grit, can you talk to me a little bit about that? What do you see as the difference between those? Because they're kind of related, right? So,
Mhm.
put it in your words.
I would say scrappy has a lot to do with, um, in in my opinion, creating something out of nothing,
Mm,
right? Especially when you're starting entrepreneurship, you don't have much money, right? And uh, the biggest thing is to gather as much resources that you possibly can with almost little to no money, and to create a product and service that customers will love,
yeah.
right? And then being grit, like having grit is being able to take the challenges even though not many people support you or believe in you, and to
Yeah.
continually coming back stronger and stronger.
Yeah, and I can see like your business. It's been 2.5 years since you started it. You're still in that startup phase. You're pre-revenue at this point, and just about to get into the revenue generation here. I know this year is the plan, and so that's really exciting. But in that journey, this 2.5 year journey that you've been in, you're a young guy, you were in school at the same time that you're starting this business. I can see where that grit and determination and the scrappiness really has to come from, because you're not sitting on a pile of cash and you haven't gone out to the investment community yet either. So you're bootstrapping this as a student. That's amazing.
Definitely. Especially during the time that we actually started, was at the peak of the pandemic. So it
Yeah.
was definitely getting over those challenges. Obviously, healthcare was hit incredibly hard, especially if you weren't in the telemedicine, COVID related
Yeah.
industries. And trying to stay alive was definitely key.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Everybody's attention was solely focused on one area of healthcare. You're totally right on that. So now, so that the rest of the audience here understands what your business is, can you give us a little bit of a snapshot as to what ScriptChain Health is all about?
Definitely. So we are a digital health startup where we've built an AI prediction platform for heart disease readmission. Those two use cases are very large. Obviously, number one, heart disease is the number one cause of death in the United States, which equates to over 700,000 deaths alone just in the US, and globally, over 18 million deaths annually.
Wow.
Readmission is also a very large problem in the healthcare industry, right? That equates to over $72 million a day in penalties and losses. And we're looking to build a strong solution for bettering patient outcomes and to help physicians identify all these high-risk patients.
Yeah, and so you're using AI to do this. Can you walk us through a little bit of that? Because it seems like nowadays AI is inserted into absolutely everything. So how are you using AI for this business?
Very true. There's a lot of hype in AI today, but we are truly a AI-based company. We have integrated two world-renowned neural networks together to work together to be able to make these predictions for physicians through a 0 to 100 percentage format. Our application is actually located within the EHR system as a widget. All you have to do is click the button, they make the predictions, and we have an actionable, which for phase one at least, is treatment options to better and optimize the point of care for the patient.
And that's where you're going to get the dramatic reduction then in readmissions, right? Is that you actually have a treatment plan that comes out of the analysis that the AI is doing.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really exciting stuff. Now, how did you stumble into this? I mean, are you a med grad? Are you a tech grad? Or, like, where is this expertise coming from that has you positioned as the founder of a medical company like this?
My family sometimes jokes around and tells me that you should have became a doctor. But yeah, so I came up with this idea. It actually dated back to when I was born. My mom gave birth to my sister and I within a year time frame, and she needed assistance taking both of us, taking care of both of us. Um, so my grandma had stepped in, started taking care of me while my mom tended to my sister. And over the years, I became very close with my grandmother. She was the world to me. And I consider myself to be grandma's boy for sure, but she was suffering from CHF. And over the years, I started to see that she started to become very weak, had shortness of breath, and always in and out of hospitals. It got to a point where it got very severe. She couldn't walk from one hallway to another without assistance.
Wow.
And I remember waking up one morning, early in the morning, and we received a phone call that she had passed away due to CHF. And that's when my heart shattered into a million pieces. And I really started to kind of question the healthcare system at the time
Yeah.
as to why did she have to take so much medications? Number one, why weren't they able to intervene at an earlier stage? Why does she have to continually go back in and out of the hospital? So fast forward to me getting into business school, I thought about that use case again. But before that, my first time exposure in the professional work experience was actually working for a medical device company where I
Hmm.
got to interact, speak with physicians on a day-to-day basis, and being able to sell medical devices for them that they needed. When I got into business school, I thought about that use case again, but this time I looked into how large of a problem it actually is, how large of a market is it, and what are some possible solutions. I found out that because of these hospitals and clinics store, these large databases called electronic health record systems that store tons and tons of patient medical data, that it would be humanly impossible to be able to sort through all that data without the assistance of advanced technology. That's
Yep.
when artificial intelligence hit me, and I said this would be a perfect use case for neural networks specifically. And that's when I thought about this is the perfect time to start, and that's what we did.
Yeah, that's quite the story, and it goes from that experience, the profound experience that you have, and carried with you right through your education, and then yeah, identifying an opportunity that might exist. That now, in terms of the technology part of it, has that been relatively difficult for you to navigate as a non technical guy, a guy who's in business school versus a guy who is doing some sort of computer technology or advanced data modeling and so on?
So actually, my undergrad was in information systems and business management. So I did
Okay.
have some technical expertise there. as well as when I received my MBA, my concentration was in data analytics. And throughout my experience in business school, I attended many, and participated in many hackathons where I got to actually work with many intelligent people that went to my school, went to MIT, went to Harvard, and we worked together with artificial intelligence solutions, as well as taking courses within business school as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So that makes sense then. There, you definitely have a little bit of the technology know how along the way that you've picked up for sure. So
Yeah.
I'm really curious. Here you are, a student with the busy, student studying and everything else, but then also the social life and that comes along with it. And yet you're starting this medical company in the midst of all this. So, like, I'm just fascinated by that decision. How did that occur? Like, was this a conscious thing, or did you just find yourself, like you said, you participated in a hackathon or whatever, and it's just like it just kind of grew and it just became what it is, or was this very intentional?
No, I would definitely say that it started to kind of start off with a very small idea and it started to grow over time. My intentions entering business school did not occur to me that I would start a digital health startup. It just happened in the process, and very difficult. You have to be very disciplined for it, but I am very happy about my decision and where we are today.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Now, you had mentioned to me, and I shared this already with the audience, that you're pre-revenue right now, 2.5 years into the business, planning on being you starting to generate revenue here right away.
Mhm.
Um, so, from a bootstrapping perspective, are you at a point now where you have investors? How are you funding all of this? I guess how did you bootstrap all of this? Um, and where are you at in terms of that financial financing journey? I guess.
Definitely. So we're considered to be a seed stage startup right now, and how we keep running is based off of selling an arm and a leg, and tons and tons of eating ramen noodles. I like to say, yeah, it's amazing of what you can do just based off of being scrappy.
You shared with me before we hit the record button that you've done something that I don't think I've ever heard any other entrepreneur tell me this, and that is that they haven't been on a vacation for 6 years. So obviously, you're just pushing through all the walls. I mean, it's brute force that is getting you to the place where you're at today and where you're going to be at tomorrow. And so, tell me a little bit about that commitment that you are having to make in your business, and I guess how you navigate through the personal side of it, like trying to balance that work life, the personal relationships and so on, while doing this amazing business startup.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. I think how I've been able to kind of go this long without any vacations whatsoever, barely even taking a day off per week, which comes either on Saturday or Sunday, is discipline. Like number one, I know that I'm a very disciplined individual. That's how I was raised growing up. And number two, being able to kind of understand my mind and my body a lot. So that's why I actually work out 5 to 6 days a week to be able to continue to stay sharp, stay sane for sure, and be very productive.
What is the routine? What's the weekly routine that you find yourself in? So you're working out a few days a week, or more than a few, I
Yeah.
guess, and then working 6 days a week or so as well. So walk us through what that routine looks like. How do you maintain that mind body health and perspective?
100%. So I wake up at 5:30 in the morning every single weekday. I get up, have a quick little pre-workout meal, while checking on my emails and going through some of the newsletters that I subscribe to. I like to read those early in the morning to kind of get the brain going. And in the process of also eating, I kind of get into the zone of understanding what my workout routine is about to be. I work out for about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours long. So about 6:30 to around 8 or 8:30 is how long I work out for. And I like to do different types of workouts. It's either like weight training, conditioning, and also like swimming as
Mm.
well. And that helps me get in the groove of things. I also have recently stopped listening to music during
Mm.
my workouts because what I've been paying attention to is listening to music. I also don't take pre-workout, by the way, or drink any coffee or anything like that. Um, is that listening to music? It actually it's kind of like a cheat code for you.
Mm.
In order to be mentally strong as well as physically strong, you have to try to get you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So that's what I've started, and what I've noticed is that it's a lot more difficult working out without any music going on or anything like that, and to continue going for a very strong workout. So I do that throughout my entire workout routine every single day, and then I come back home, shower, eat super quick, and start working around 9 in the morning to about 7 to 8 p.m. Sometimes longer if needed.
Yeah. Wow. And not very many breaks. And so you're not taking more than a day off a week, and then no extended breaks outside of that at all then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And usually that one day that I do take a break, I'm actually just running a bunch of errands, just trying to catch up on everything else like I need to do outside of work. So it
Yeah.
still kind of seems like work, but I guess I'm not in front of my computer at the time.
So question for you. How do you find the I guess the drive? How do you keep so driven for 2.5 years with this kind of a pace?
Yeah. I'm just self-motivated. I'm just self-motivated. I've always had a chip on my shoulder throughout my entire life for different things. And it's continually helped me grow in different ways and to keep going and never giving up. And I've done that throughout my entire life. Like it's not even
Mm.
just my startup; it's literally my entire life, and it's just built in me. You sometimes kind of have to have it because what I've noticed is some people like to be taught a certain way, but I'm a firm believer that sometimes you are born with it, with certain skill sets, and this is one of mine.
Yeah, yeah, that's remarkable. I know. I, d- at my age now, I just don't have the energy. It feels like,
Yeah.
but maybe that's because I'm not getting up at 5:30 in the morning and doing these intensive workouts. Because, like you said, you have to feed that mind and the body, and the discipline that you have there definitely would translate into incredible discipline in the business side of things. So tell me a little bit about the business journey that you've been on. So, what are some of the biggest hurdles that you've had to overcome as a guy bootstrapping, a medical business like this? It must be difficult at times navigating, the big beast that the healthcare system is, and then also I know, as a young guy that started businesses when similarly when I was younger,
Hmm.
there was a lot of people that discounted my abilities and kind of discarded me as and my ideas as well. And so I'd imagine you probably have faced some of that. So talk to me a little bit about some of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome.
Yeah, I think just being in the digital health space, especially when our solution needs to get FDA clearance, it's not the easiest pathway to take,
Yeah.
but it's something that we do need to take. Healthcare globally is large, especially in the U.S., right, where we are located, about 20% of GDP here,
Yeah.
and that comes with a lot of segmented industries. That comes with areas of opportunity because of that. And starting this idea, especially during COVID-19, and we all know how serious that was, especially in the healthcare industry with everything being shut down. A lot of these solutions were focused on virtual care and or COVID related solutions, and we're neither. I guess you can say. So I definitely did hit a lot of challenges. Number one, continually to remind myself and my entire team to keep going. Business development, I stopped doing that during the time of COVID just because a lot of the conversations that we were having at the time ended up coming to a halt because they were only focused on those two, three domain, and anything outside of that, they wanted to push it off to the next year or the following year after that. So for
Hmm.
me, what I did is that I focused solely on R&D, right? Research and development to be able to flesh out a product that many of these users would love, such as patients and physicians. Um, and some of the roadblocks that I hit, one of them in particular was a deal that I was actually working on for several months, and this was one of my biggest roadblocks that I hit in the earlier stages. I think I would say within the first year of starting the startup, I was working on this deal. I'm not going to mention the name of the healthcare system, but I was working on this deal with the healthcare system and several months. I mean, with several different stakeholders to get in, and it's a world-renowned healthcare system as well. And a ton of documents that we had to sign, proposals, BAAs, getting IRB approval, you name it, we went through it. There were nights where there was this one specific weekend that I didn't sleep for 3 days. 3 days because I was told on that Friday, that if we don't submit a proposal by Monday, we would have to wait an entire quarter to
Hmm.
submit it into the committee. And as an entrepreneur, we can't wait another 3 months for a committee to review our proposal. So, because we don't know if we're going to be alive in 3 months, right? And what I had to do is I stayed up. This is the first time I've ever stayed up for 3 days in a row on writing this proposal. And I finally got submitted. That was done. And we received the thumbs up from co-principal investigators. We received a thumbs up from the licensing manager, and we received a thumbs up from the data manager, and legal as well, because they agreed to our documents. The only thing we needed is to receive a thumbs up from the chairman of that
Hmm.
specific organization. And
Yep.
because of COVID impacted every healthcare system, I think in the world, um, they had to push back a ton of pilots and a bunch of different studies that they had planned that were backlogged, and they needed more and more individuals to come on and continue those studies. So we got the thumbs down, which was the only stakeholder that we needed to move forward with what we had planned. And that was crushing to me.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
crushed me so much that day. It like ruined my entire day because I worked incredibly hard for that, and I put all my eggs in one basket, which was a mistake on my behalf. But I
Hmm.
was so confident in this closing because I you know we received great feedback from everyone, but the chairman said we have other things aligned that we have to go through, and those are slightly more important on our schedule than everything else. And
So
that was definitely something that triggered something in me.
yeah. So how do you pick yourself up off the floor? When
Yeah,
you get that kind of a gut punch where it just knocks the wind right out of you.
yeah. I received this news. I remember it was late afternoon, and I couldn't think of anything else besides that. So what I ended up doing is going for a walk. I took a walk around my area, like 3 or 4 laps in, and I told myself that don't let this hinder you. Just give it one more day. And the next day I woke up, I felt a lot better
Yeah.
and continued.
Yeah. The positive mindset and mental work that you do is obviously giving you the strength to continue on in these kind of circumstances. And I just want to applaud you for that, because it is so easy to feel defeated when you have those kinds of situations and just want to give up, right? But no, you're pushing through it. It's that brute force, like I was saying, right? It's just like,
Yeah.
I'm not giving up on this. This is going to happen, which is really, really cool. Now, a quick question for you. Now, if you had the ability to, send a letter back in time to your younger entrepreneurial self, maybe at the very beginning of the startup,
Ooh.
or at any point along the journey, what would you say to yourself? What would you be telling yourself in that letter?
I could probably write a book about this, Lance. I'll tell you that. I don't know about a letter, but definitely a book. Um, Listen to customers.
Mm,
Understand that every feedback that you receive isn't always going to be great feedback. Trust in your gut and continually go to networking events, conferences that may not always pertain to your specific industry, but you'll meet great people along the way
yeah,
that may or may not be able to help you directly, but they may know somebody that can.
yeah, yeah. The power of networking is just incredible, right? And there's so many people, and this is the thing that I love about this show is I get to talk to entrepreneurs about their uh, journeys, and they always are so giving of their time. It seems
Right.
like the most successful ones are the ones that are the first to step up and with their hand and reach out to another entrepreneur and give them a little bit of a lift up. And so we get to share these stories and build this community and the networking. I totally agree with you. And the thing that I would add, for any of the people who are, in the early stages of their business, is to don't be afraid to ask for help. Like it's pretty amazing how many people are willing to go out of their way to just give you a little bit of support, to introduce you to the right person, to whether that's an investor or whether that's your first customer or another customer, or a supplier or whatever, right, or an advisor. It's really quite amazing. We've had the privilege to talk to so many entrepreneurs. I think we're around 240-ish right now, and after talking to 200 of them, Mo, we created a book called the Secret Sauce, to starting your business and growing your business. And
Hmm.
it's all that distilled down from all the advice that all these people gave. And so I definitely encourage you and the rest of our audience to take a read through that, because that's exactly the kinds of things what you just said that I wish I could have told my younger self these
Hmm.
things. That's what's in the book, because this is what people are talking about on this show. It's really neat. Anyway, I just really wanted to say thank you for taking the time today to share your story, and you are in a space that has such a profound impact on people, and not just the lives that could be saved, which is paramount, but also just the cost to the healthcare systems around the globe. And we all know that it's just unsustainable the way that all of the healthcare systems are headed, with the massive investment that's required, and basically sucking so much GDP, out of the countries, right? So what you're going to be doing there is just super super profound, and I'm humbled by the things that you're doing and the way that you've approached your business. So I applaud you for that and wish you the best success, Moh. It's exciting to see what you're going to be able to do.
Thank you for that, Lance. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me again.
Yeah, yeah, my pleasure. And so, Moh, if somebody wanted to connect with you for whatever reason, whether it's to make an introduction for you, or to ask you some questions, or maybe get you into their clinic or their health practice, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, you can definitely find me on LinkedIn. It's just Moh, my last name Noori, Noori, as well as on Twitter at Moh Noori 91.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks again. Really appreciate it, Moh. And for those of you who are listening to this right now, and if you enjoyed this episode, head over to our archives over at amplifyyourbusiness.ca, and you'll be able to find all of the past episodes there, as well as the future ones, of course. And of course, you can just search Amplify Your Business on your favorite podcasting platform if you prefer just the audio version of this podcast. Until next time, everybody have a prosperous day.